Public Affairs Network, engaging the citizens of Wisconsin since 2007 through access to government proceedings and public policy events.
On to the program. Our speaker today is Secretary Randy Romanski, who was appointed by Governor Tony Evers as Secretary of the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture in 2020. He previously served as the department's Deputy Secretary and Interim Secretary prior to being appointed as Secretary. He brings decades of experience in government administration and policy development to the department, having held leadership roles at multiple state agencies. Secretary Romanski has also served as the Assistant Deputy Secretary for the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources and Wisconsin Department of Transportation. From 2011 to 2019, he served as the head of safety programs in DOT's Division of State Patrol. Earlier in his year, he held staff positions in the state's legislature, both in the Senate and the Assembly, and served as the Deputy Chief of Staff in the Governor's Office. We look forward to your presentation, Secretary Romanski, and we have made a contribution to the Rotary International Polio Plus Fund as a way to say thank you for speaking to us today. I also want to mention that we will have time for Q&A with our speaker as time allows, but please wait for the microphone if you have a question. Rotarians and guests, let's welcome him to our podium.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for the invitation. Thanks for having me here with you. I appreciate that warm welcome. When I get that, it's the short bio, thankfully. My father's words are bouncing around in my head of, that guy can't hold a job for very long, can he? I can, I promise. I wanted to start by sharing with you that many years ago, I was a youth Rotarian. Yes, at one point I was young, but so it made me no stranger to the Rotary Club and how important it is to be a resource and the commitment to service. I speak to about a Rotary a month these days when I'm able. Over the last couple of years, I have been because I know it's important that I get a chance to hear some of the great things you all are doing, which are really important in your communities and in the world. But it's also a reminder to me that our agency has that same commitment to being a resource and and providing service to the people around us. And I'm going to share a little bit of that with you today. So most people, when they hear of the Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection, are familiar with the A of DACCAP. It's agriculture. Agriculture is a $104.8 billion industry in the state of Wisconsin. It happens all around us at every corner of the state. About 1 in 9 people in the state of Wisconsin hold a job related to agriculture. It's part of our past, present, and it's part of our future. But I don't want to forget about the TCP portion of DACCAP, making sure that we protect consumers and ensure a fair marketplace are an important part of what our agency does to be a resource to the citizens and the industries of our state. DACCAP's role in this is in a regulatory framework, somewhat, but it's also as a resource and a connector. I appreciate the opportunity to share with you a little bit about what our agency does every day. So we serve the citizens of the state every day through the Office of the Secretary, and that's our executive leadership team, our communications, our legal, and our policy teams. Along with that, we have 6 different divisions, and I'm going to walk through what each one of those does just a little bit, just so you know, because sometimes you might stop and think about, I wonder who does that. I'll tell you right now, the answer is probably DACCAP, just because of the variety of things that we are involved with. You may be surprised, but the largest division that we have is our Division of Food and Recreational Safety. It's about 40% of DACCAP staff. This team inspects and licenses all food and recreational businesses in Wisconsin, including hotels, restaurants, enforces federal and state food safety laws, and responds to food recalls and food illness outbreaks. The bottom line, these are the people that make sure that the products you buy and the places you go are safe. Our next largest division is the Division of Trade and Consumer Protection. This is a division that helps ensure a fair marketplace. They enforce Wisconsin consumer protection laws. They educate consumers, and they verify the accuracy of scales and prices across the state. So think about it. When you go to the gas station and you buy a gallon of gas, these are the folks that make sure you get a gallon of gas when you pay for it. And that is more important today than it ever has been, right? I mean, I filled up last night, and I was not happy. But I knew that I got the gallons of gas that I paid for. That's important. The other four divisions in DACAP deal a little more closely with what people might consider to be agriculture and farmers. We have a Division of Agricultural Development that works to support Wisconsin farmers and promote Wisconsin agriculture. The Allison Dairyland program, which is well known by the people sitting at the table right here in front of me, is a good example of that. You may be familiar with that program, but the Allison Dairyland program is in our Division of Agricultural Development. They also have programs like Something Special from Wisconsin, the Wisconsin Farm Center, which offers resources to farmers and supports them. But we'll get to that just a little bit later. We also have a Division of Animal Health that protects animal and human health in Wisconsin by monitoring the movement of animals in and out and around the state of Wisconsin. So right now, we have 47 people in the Division of Animal Health, and they're responsible for the entire state. All of them right now are dedicating their time to responding to high-path avian influenza. It just shows how we work on a surge basis and what they do to protect animals and humans from disease outbreak. We've had 21 facilities in 13 counties test positive for highly pathogenic avian influenza this year. And this small but mighty team in the Division of Animal Health are out there on a daily basis working to try to contain that. We have a Division of Management Services. Now, that's going to be standard business activities that you would imagine. It's IT, it's personnel, but we also have two laboratories that are affiliated with or affixed to the Department of Ag, Trade, and Consumer Protection. We're really fortunate to have that because they test everything from pesticide residues to food, and that's another important service that we provide. The last one that I'm going to mention, our last division, is the Division of Agricultural Resource Management. They work with counties, farmers, and agribusinesses to ensure responsible use of Wisconsin's land and water resources. If you've heard of programs like the Producer-Led Watershed Grant Program or the Farmland Preservation Program, you've heard of the work that these folks do. Now, I had a chance to visit a farm in western Wisconsin, the rolling hills, coulees, and valleys of western Wisconsin, and was at a family farm that was 6th generation and looking forward to the 7th generation. Early adopters of soil and water conservation practices because of the terrain that they farm in. And they were very proud of that. And the fact that they took the stewardship of the land as seriously as they did. They wanted to tell their story. And I wrote down the quote, and I wanted to share it. This dairy farmer, who was probably in his early 30s, a young farmer, said, "We take care of the land because the land takes care of us." And that's something that rings true every day, that there's a sustainability of agriculture in Wisconsin because of how our farmers treat the land and water they're working on. So with each of these 6 divisions, DACAP works to cooperatively serve as a resource to Wisconsin families, farmers, agribusinesses, and consumers. Governor Evers and his administration are committed to strengthening our agricultural sector, the supply chain, workforce, and I'm going to tell you some of the things that he's done to create and bolster that to make sure that we're supporting consumers and businesses across the state of Wisconsin. So Wisconsin is known as a cheese powerhouse. I know we have at least one cheese producing family in the room with us today, right, Debbie? And our state's nearly 1,200 licensed cheesemakers produce 600 types, styles, and varieties of cheeses. In fact, if Wisconsin were a country, we'd rank 4th in the world in cheese production, behind the rest of the United States, Germany, and France. Yeah, that's pretty remarkable. Those in the dairy industry work hard to produce and process top-tier cheese for the world to enjoy. That's why it's really important. I mentioned investing in our strengths. It's really important that in his last budget, Governor Evers doubled the funding for our dairy processor grant program, which provides additional funding to those processors so they can make investments, they can make innovations, and continue to evolve. That dairy processor grant program is run by our DATCAP staff and, again, aims to improve profitability and sustain the long-term viability of Wisconsin's dairy industry. We're really fortunate to have that program, and again, it's not a lot of money. We don't have a lot of money with a lot of our programs, but every little bit helps. So dairy processors are part of our heritage in Wisconsin, but we have a lot of diversity in agriculture. The diversity of Wisconsin agriculture, much like our society, is our strength. And let me just rattle off a few things for you. Wisconsin ranks first in the nation for cranberries, ginseng, mink pelts, cheese, dry whey for humans, milk goats, corn for silage, snap beans for processing. Now, those are just the things that we're listed number 1 at. There's any other number of variety of things that we're top 5, top 7. It's remarkable how productive Wisconsin farmers are and how dynamic Wisconsin's agribusinesses are. So I could go on for days about the diversity of Wisconsin agriculture, as could the Allison Dairylands, who are here because you've all told this story as well. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about meat and livestock, since it's May Beef Month. Great, Jill, you're nodding. That's great. It is May Beef Month. So the meat and livestock industry directly employs over 50,000 people in Wisconsin, and with warehousing and distribution included, contributes $34 billion to our state's economy. We have a strong history of meat processing in the state of Wisconsin. Perhaps you've heard of it. We have a professional sports team that pays homage to our meat processing industry, and we are part of the Packers. But we're also proud of the livestock and meat processing industry. It's a powerhouse. Again, I'm going to go back to it's important to invest in those strengths. So recently, we saw some supply chain disruptions as a result of COVID and people getting illnesses, and some of those larger plants and some smaller ones shut down or slowed production for a while. Again, really important, Governor Evers created a new meat processing infrastructure grant program in his recent budget and to strengthen, make those investments in businesses that are all across the state of Wisconsin. And he set aside $5 million in federal funds for meat talent development training to help train people to realize that there is a career in meat processing in the state of Wisconsin, that you can make a living off of it, and it's part of our fabric of our society. We need to train that next generation. This will help us do that. I'll go into some of those details really quickly. I just want to be conscious of time because I want to make sure that I'm able to introduce Julia. But how we're going to use the meat talent development dollars is we're going to attract potential students to a career in the meat industry. We're going to provide financial support to students who enroll in meat processing training programs. We're going to support additional programs for meat skills development, and we're going to make sure that we connect those young people to the industry that needs good, smart, hardworking, qualified people to join them. We're going to have we're doing this right now through a partnership through the Tech College system, the university system, the industry, and this will help strengthen the supply chain from the human capital side of it. They're important because it supports the future of the meat and livestock industry in the state of Wisconsin. I wanted to kind of fast forward through a few things here because I want to make sure we have some time for Q&A. But I wanted to just focus on something that is really important. And in Wisconsin, and this may be true in many other states, but I'm going to focus on Wisconsin because that's where we are, and I'm the Wisconsin Secretary of Department of Agriculture. A lot of commerce starts on a local road in the state of Wisconsin. If you think about it, the strength of our local road system, our backbone highways, and other transportation systems was kind of founded on the importance of agriculture to our state's economy. That crop, that product needs to get from field to table, or wherever that last market may be. Having a strong infrastructure is a really important part of delivering that product. And there had been not as much investment in our infrastructure as there should have been in recent years. And when Governor Evers took office, one of the things he made a priority was investing in our infrastructure. So since he's taken office, Wisconsin DOT has improved more than 1,700 miles of highways and more than 1,250 bridges. I don't know if you've ever been on a local road, but those bridges might be old, they might be small, and they might not be able to take the size of the farm equipment that's out there these days. It's important that we invest in that infrastructure, and that's happening now. I wanted to talk a little bit more about, I'll finish up here with something that I share in all of my remarks, and that's not only is May Beef Month, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And we have another small but mighty crew that works at something called the Wisconsin Farm Center that was created in the 1980s to be responsive to the farm crisis and the questions that farmers were having as they were trying to stay in business. And we've supplied some additional funding to them that had not been there previously. And with that, we've built a foundation of programs that are more effective and impactful in helping to address the mental health challenges that farmers are feeling. So here's what we've done with that money, and it wasn't a lot of money that was invested. We implemented a 24/7 farmer wellness hotline so that farmers struggling with suicidal thoughts, depression, anxiety, and other issues can obtain assistance 24/7. We have a farmer wellness program that's administered through our team at the Farm Center. And the goal is to increase access to mental health resources for farmers and their families and break down the stigma of asking for help. Agriculture is a difficult, in good times, agriculture is a difficult industry. Long hours, challenging environmental issues, markets that can be disturbed, all those outside your own activities. It's important that we have resources. It's important that we make sure that people say it's okay to ask for help. I'm going to share it with you. I'm happy to share this information with you afterwards, Teresa, if you'd like to forward it. But the free and confidential services that we provide to farmers are available at datcap.wi.gov, or the 24/7 Wisconsin Farmer Wellness helpline is 888-901-2558. So I share that everywhere I go because it's important. It may not be something that you need, but if you know somebody who's in agriculture and farming who's struggling, please share this information with them or share it with them, and maybe they know somebody who's struggling. We want people to know there's help out there. So I'm going to sum up here, and I'm going to say, when you think of DATCAP, think of a broad range of programs and services from food, consumer protection, animal health, and agricultural resources. We are proud to serve the citizens of the state every day in a variety of ways. That's a quick snapshot of what our agency does. And with that, I'm going to close my remarks. Ooh, I'm going to get you in. I'm going to close my remarks, and I am going to welcome Julia Nunes here, the 73rd and 74th Allison Dearland, up to the stage. And while I have the great opportunity to travel across the state and highlight agriculture, trade, and consumer protection work, I am fortunate to share that responsibility with a partner. Allison Dearland is a one-year full-time public relations professional employed by DATCAP, and she regularly travels more than 30,000 miles throughout the state, conducting hundreds of interviews, speeches, presentations. We are fortunate to have the Allison Dearland program in Wisconsin, and we are selecting the 75th Allison Dearland this weekend. Julia has been a great 73rd and 74th Allison Dearland, and while we're sad to see her go, she'll join a great group of past Alices who she is going to introduce right now. So I will turn it over to Julia Nunes. Please give her a round of applause.
Thank you, Secretary Romanski, and thank you, Rotary, for having us here today. I'm very excited to be here, and you're right, we are selecting the 75th Alice in Dairyland on Saturday, which is just really sneaking up on me, but it's happening, and the Alice in Dairyland program has been around since 1948. We are celebrating this historic year, and I'm really excited to gather with many former Alices this weekend. We have not been able to host a finale event. Usually there's a big banquet with a few hundred people come and celebrate the program, and we haven't been able to do that for the past 2 years. So I'm looking forward to gather as a whole program and celebrate, and it will be very, very fun. And I have had the opportunity to explore Wisconsin for the past 2 years. Since July of 2020, I have been serving as Alice. And I'm almost about to hit 40,000 miles on the Alice in Dairyland Corn Cob Mobile. So, yes, very, very flashy. But the program's been around for a long time, and we would not be where we are today without the many strong women who have served as Alice in the past. And with us today, we have 6 former Alices, and I am going to announce them. And please stand, hold your applause till the end. I will announce you. Please stay standing until I'm finished. So with us today, our 9th Alice in Dairyland, Dory Underkoffler. Our 14th Alice, also a Rotary member, Carol Colby. Our 34th Alice in Dairyland, Debbie Crave. Our 35th Alice, Dorothy Farrell. Our 39th Alice in Dairyland, Liz Henry. And our 60th Alice in Dairyland, and Chair of the 75th Alice in Dairyland Steering Committee, Jill Makovic. So please, yes. All of these amazing women dedicated 1 year of their life and possibly more to promoting agriculture, and they are all still involved. And I'm so excited to gather with more former Alices this weekend. Also here with us today is Rotary member Valerie Rank. She is also on the Alice in Dairyland Planning Committee. She has done a lot with preparing for this coming weekend. And Donna Beesman is a Rotary member as well, and her father is Don McDowell. He served as the Secretary of Agriculture for many, many years. He was the longest serving secretary ever, and he is considered the father of the Alice in Dairyland program. So it's always fun running into Donna at events. So I want to thank you again for having me here with you today. I enjoy speaking with people. Unfortunately, there are no tickets left, I don't think. Ask Valerie if no tickets left for this weekend. Oh, how nice. You might need to be nice to Valerie if you want to come. But if you're interested in learning more, you can tune in. I post all the time on social media, on Facebook. You'll be able to kind of see updates throughout the weekend, and then you'll be able to see who is selected to serve as the 75th Alice in Dairyland on Saturday. So I will be your Alice until the end of June, and I look forward to continue exploring agriculture in Wisconsin. And I've loved it, so thank you so much for letting me come and speak to you today, and for recognizing the Alice in Dairyland program.
Thank you, Julia. That concludes my remarks. And Teresa, I know we're a little bit. Okay, you have time. All right, so I have some time for some Q&A, which I would be happy to engage with. I know from being at Rotary groups that you all are going to have questions, and I welcome that. So let's have a conversation. Yes, sir.
I have a question regarding consumer safety. Wisconsin has one of the best agricultural schools in the country. We also have very good laboratories in looking at the impacts of pesticides and herbicides. There is a controversy regarding Monsanto product, which is Roundup. I guess the EU has banned, the question is that the EU has banned the Roundup. What has Wisconsin's reaction been?
Well, what I would say is our reaction would be that the EU takes care of the EU, and anything that would happen here in the state of Wisconsin or the U.S. would be dictated by the federal government. So unless or until the federal government here would take any kind of action to prohibit any kind of pesticide, that would be what the market would determine.
Hello, Secretary, again.
Hello there.
You signed a document this morning called Renew the Blue, the Community Guide for Our Lakes at the Clean Lakes Alliance annual meeting. Can you talk specifically about one of the actions, which is nutrient management plans and how we can get more? Maybe do a little bit of deep dive for the crowd and let them know what is a nutrient management plan is my question.
Sure. Okay. That's great. So thank you for that. And James and I were just on a panel together, just a little ways down the road, talking about partnerships and how it takes partnerships from a lot of people to make a difference in our the health of our soil and water. So everybody from communities to businesses to agriculture. And I'll say what I said this morning, and there's a lot of talk about what kind of impacts there are to waterways and soil, and agriculture is part of the solution to healthier soil and cleaner waters. It's also part of the solution for addressing the changes that are happening in our climate around us. One of the things that contributes to that is nutrient management planning. That's one of the services that our agency provides, working cooperatively with farmers, and that they can implement practices on their farm. And I'm going to talk about tillage for one thing, but I'm taking no-till as a practice instead of more traditional approaches. But nutrient management planning is something that works with the farmer to control the nutrients that might be released from their operation. So if you're thinking about a livestock operation, what are they doing to control the nutrients that might be coming from those animals? It's really important that we work in partnership with the industry and have plans in place that prohibit things like manure and chemicals from going from the farm fields into the waterway. So it's really important to have partnerships. It was wonderful to talk about the plan today for the Yahara Lakes, but I can tell you that there are programs all throughout the state of Wisconsin right now that are focusing on farmers, producers working together in watersheds to conserve soil and protect their waterways. And again, what I say is that agriculture is part of the solution to cleaner water and healthier soils.
I guess because food is perishable, there's a lot of waste in all the way through the supply chain for food. What sort of leadership is DACCAP taking for pulling the waste out of the system?
That's a great question, and here we have a few programs that I think seek to prevent that waste. So you've heard me talk extensively about the benefit that we have as the state of Wisconsin for being not only America's dairy land, but I would say we're America's potato and vegetable land, and so many other things. We produce and process so much here that it's a shame to see any food go to waste. Actually, it's a shame to see any food go to waste anyway. So here are some things that have happened. Number one, realizing that we had supply chain disruptions that occurred because of the impact of COVID on all of us. We worked very closely with the industry and with food distribution networks that cover the state of Wisconsin to use. Now it's $55 million that the governor has provided to DACCAP to work with two hunger organizations and with the agriculture industry in the state of Wisconsin so that we are, instead of seeing food go to waste or not be used or whatever the case might be, to connect the dots between those who are food insecure and for those who are producing that food right here in the state of Wisconsin. We use kind of a know your farmer, know your food approach. Food, whether we're buying it in the grocery store or somebody's getting it from a local food pantry, could have been processed or grown right down the road from us in the state of Wisconsin. We need to connect those dots. So that's a bigger approach to it. Governor Evers providing the $55 million for the food security program. On a micro level, we also try to do other things to connect people to their food. Again, know your farmer, know your food. So we have programs like Buy Local, Buy Wisconsin, where we invest in local businesses so that people know that here are businesses from the state of Wisconsin that are right down the road. How do we promote and advocate for that? Something special from Wisconsin. There's a little yellow bug on all of the on some of the things that you could find in the grocery store. We encourage people, find those kinds of things so that you know where your food is. You're not wondering where it came from or in some cases, we're shrinking the road miles. So that product that's from right down the road is fresher and hopefully not being wasted. Great, thank you.
She's going to take it. Let's thank Secretary Romanski and his team again. And with that, Rotarians, we are adjourned.
This program is a production of WisconsinEye, an independent, nonpartisan, nonprofit media network with a mission to inform, educate, and engage the citizens of Wisconsin. WisconsinEye is the nation's first and only independently funded state civics broadcast network, providing gavel-to-gavel access to government proceedings and events at the state capitol.
As WisconsinEye enters its 15th year covering Wisconsin politics and civic life throughout the state, we ask that you support our upcoming Campaign 2022 coverage as we follow the races for State Assembly and Senate, Governor, U.S. Senate, and Congress. Help WisconsinEye reach our goal of raising $30,000 by making a tax-deductible donation today by going to wiseye.org/donate or by texting WisEye to 44321. Your donation will ensure that WisconsinEye can continue to be your top source for Campaign 2022 coverage.